Hey, what's up guys? Hendricks back to you with what is now the very last U.S. history in film video. Guys, it's the end here of the year, basically. And I just want to say it's been a great time this year. I'm really sorry we didn't get to be together for the last few weeks. But hopefully you've, made the best of it, like I tried to as well. Guys, today is May the 4th. And that means it's Star Wars Day. You might have heard of that before. I've got my May the 4th Be With You t-shirt on right here. You can kind of see. Oh yeah, there you go. So you'll be watching the film Star Wars this week. Now the one I got you there is the current version, the one you would find if you went to the store and bought it on Blu-ray. And let's go over the questions. So pull them out real fast. First question says, Star Wars has been read as an allegory for a variety of situations. Describe one episode of American history that is similar to the movie's storyline. Now, an allegory, of course, is something that's meant to make you think of something else, basically. And there's lots of different ones you could find within the Star Wars films. But for the first one that we just watched here, one really good episode of American history that you can kind of compare it to could be World War II. It's no secret that much of the Empire was built on the Nazi sort of like look. I mean, if you look at Darth Vader, he's a big, strong guy, the big black outfit. You have the stormtroopers, which is actually what Hitler, called his guys during the 1930s. They, clearly George Lucas meant for the Empire to sort of like remind you of Nazi Germany. Another one too that a lot of people talk about as well is the Cold War. And in the Cold War, the big threat that we had was nuclear annihilation, just, everybody getting blown to pieces. And of course, in Star Wars, that's exactly what's happening to the rebels at the end of the film, whenever the Death Star comes in and it's, about to blow up their planet and kill everybody, just before, of course, Luke saves the day. Number 2 says, what is there in Star Wars that made it the success that it became in the 1970s and beyond? Well, it's just the kind of film that, for a lot of people, it connected on a very emotional level. It's really sort of an old school style, old school 1930s sort of like serial type show that would be a, space adventure. You could translate what they're doing in space here to like any other thing. It could be like swashbuckling pirate heroes on the high seas in the 1600s or something, or 1700s or whatever. And it could just fit a variety of situations. It's about having a good story. It's not so much about being like a big sci-fi film. Of course, though, that is a big important part of what made Star Wars so successful. Was not only was it what really brought the sort of science fiction genre to the forefront. Before that they had sci-fi films, but none of them were ever really huge the way Star Wars became. But it was just a great story with great actors, compelling characters, and people, also appreciated the new special effects that they started doing as well. So it was kind of the right time. Everything kind of fit together at the right time, basically. It really helped. Number 3, Star Wars was one of the original blockbuster films. What does that term mean? Well, that's very simple. It means exactly what it sounds like. It was a blockbuster because people waited and busted the block, there we go, to be able to see the movie. You can see there, that's the Mann's Chinese Theater, and there's just a huge crowd waiting to see it. Here's one where people are literally waiting around the block. Here we go. Kind of see it there. Not too bad, but you can see the huge crowd of people waiting around the block to come and see the film Star Wars. It was just, a huge, huge thing that became, very big in society to go and wait on these films. I've done it. Back in 2002, me and my friend, we waited all night long at the line to watch episode 2. We were nerds. It doesn't really happen much that way anymore today. Theaters have mostly gone to, reserve seating, so you book your tickets early ahead of time. There's not a big line outside. In some ways, that's cool. That's great. You don't have to wait outside in these big lines. In other ways, it's sort of like also kind of losing, what you had really cool about the past, right? But what I wanted to talk to y'all about now at the end here is the fact that Star Wars has had so many changes throughout time in the last 42 years almost now, 43 just about. And the movies have gone through a lot of changes, right? Now what I got right here, this is a box set that I bought back in 1996, yeah? And this was the last time that they released the original films, as you can see here. And of course this is VHS. Maybe some of you guys don't even know what that is. Ask your mom and dad, right? Maybe you have one laying around in the closet somewhere. But this was the last time they released the original theatrical versions of the films, sort of. Yeah, I'll get to that later. But of course, after that, in 1997, I'll put that down right there, the special edition versions came out. They had updated the special effects, they updated the sound, they used some new scenes that had been cut before. And some people were okay with it, some people thought it was cool, you know? Some people were not so much okay with it. Probably the biggest scene change to the one that you guys watched versus the one from the original 1977 version would have been Han Solo and Greedo whenever they're in the little cantina near the beginning, and Han Solo shoots Greedo and kills him. In the film you guys watched, Han Solo fires his gun first, but of course, I'm sorry, Greedo fires first, but in the original, Greedo never fired at all, Han Solo did, and it's been a huge contention among Star Wars fans. You might have seen the t-shirts if you're a nerd fan like me. It says Han shot first, etc., etc. This is the Blu-ray set that came out in 2011, and it was all 6 films at the time. They've just now, of course, finished the newest trilogy, so there's now 9 films in the Star Wars Skywalker saga. And of course, y'all probably know this one right here. This would be The Force Awakens, Episode 7, that came out in 2015. And there's been a few more films other than that as well. But what I wanted to show you guys is something called the Despecialized Edition. Now, you can't actually buy the Star Wars Trilogy original theatrical editions. They're not for sale anymore. If you can find a single DVD release that came out in 2006 that had had the special edition, you know, the updated special effects ones, had a second bonus disc that was a transfer from a laser disc, and it's not very good quality. It's really garbage. You can't buy them in good, high quality. You can, however, if you look hard enough, find what I call the despecialized editions, or are called that rather, the despecialized editions, and you can't buy those. You can find them on the internet, and they sort of like have you do the honor system, so where you promise, yeah, I own these movies, I'm not going to download them illegally because I actually own them, blah, blah, blah. So I had to make these Blu-rays myself from those. So if you're a big super nerd like me and you're into it, look for the Star Wars Despecialized editions, as in like taking all those 1997 stuff out, and basically these 3 are the ones you would find if you went to the movie theater in 1977, in 1980, and in 1983. Took all those changes out, and they're still in very high quality, which is pretty cool. Now I've got a couple more for you extra nerds that might want to check them out. Some Star Wars stuff you maybe never heard of. When I was a kid, after Return of the Jedi came out in 1983, the Ewoks were super popular, massively popular, and they actually had 2 Ewok movies, right? They were called The Caravan of Courage and The Battle for Endor. And these 2 Ewok movies that came out back then were just on Channel 13. You watched them on ABC, and they were great fun for little kid, you know, nerds like me into Star Wars. Today, George Lucas hates them. They're not considered part of the Star Wars storyline anymore. But if you look around, you can still find the DVD. This is an official release. You can still find the DVD to purchase. And of course, I did that because I'm a super nerd. There's also something that George Lucas hates even more than the Ewoks. It's called the Star Wars Holiday Special. And this one right here, it was so popular that in November of 1978, CBS talked George Lucas into letting them put this together. It's about 2 hours long. It's a movie, and in the movie, like, Han Solo has to take Chewbacca home, and we get to meet Chewbacca's wife and his son and his father as well. And there's even a couple of cartoons in between. We get a little closer here. A couple of cartoons in between as well. That has the first appearance of Boba Fett. If you're a nerd like me, you know who that is. But it's so bad. It's absolutely garbage. It is so hard to watch if you're trying to watch it seriously. Now, if you're having a good time with some friends and making a joke of it, it's a lot of fun. But it's so bad that George Lucas one time said he would pay $1 billion if he could just get every copy destroyed. But obviously, that ain't about to happen, George. So guys, that's your Star Wars. Once again, happy May 4th. Oh, almost forgot. Me and the wife had a Baby Yoda back there, you can see. Yeah, what do you think about that? No real baby, but Baby Yoda. Now we're talking. Anyway, guys, it's been a lot of fun having you all in my class this year. If you have any more questions or whatever, you can hit me up on the cell phone or the email. And other than that, you'll have a great summer. Take it easy.